You haven't gotten your EIDL grant, you don't know where your EIDL loan is, and now that you want your stimulus check and Donald's ready to do an executive order, guess who has the money? Don't come in looking for me. I'll be at TJ Maxx in the scarf aisle. This is JOVITALATE. Hey, good evening, everybody. It's an encore edition of Purple Power with JOVITALATE, in which the two merge, and there's all really a wonderful scarf ensemble involved. Go to the fun channel, subscribe, because who's going to bring a scarf, a stimulus, and a scandal all in one video? Oh, it's just so delicious. And also like this video. JOVITALATE is back, my friends, and JOVITALATE is actually now desired in two regards. First, she has your EIDL grant that you never got, that $10,000 EIDL grant, but now she has your stimulus money. Yeah, she has $850 billion of it, of unused PPP money, because, not everyone likes to deal with JOVITALATE. And so you're wondering where that executive order for your stimulus check is. Well, ultimately, if it's sent out, they have to come to moi. The question is whether there'll be any stimulus left after I get to the Nordstrom sales rack for the scarves, because those are a little more pricey. It's Nordstrom's. The fact is that there's a lot of stimulus at SBA that can be used and repurposed for stimulus checks. $800 billion, which is the equivalent of really 1 yard of scarves. In a wonderland of Disneyland for me. Sometimes I go to bed and I dream about scarves, and I wake up in the morning and I think about scarves. As one viewer says, does he sleep? Does he sleep? He never sleeps. He's recording again. He never sleeps. Did he sleep? No, he did not sleep. Well, JOVITALATE sleeps on scarves. And so if you want to know where your stimulus is, well, it's sort of near the scarves. The good news as we sit here tonight is that JOVITALATE is now was once at a time, in April and May, perceived as the person who makes up stories and moving goalposts. That was the repertoire of JOVITALATE. Moving goalposts, couldn't keep a story straight. One day you had to do this to get a grant, another day you have to do that to get a grant. Well, now she's challenged by Nancy Pelosi, who simply has changed all ability to keep a straight story. And tonight is talking about crushing the virus, children going hungry, and is talking about science. She said in an interview today that she's happy that the president has turned a corner, because now he's embracing the science. I'm sorry, just embracing the science just does not sound very sexy to me. But she says he's embracing the science, and he says she thinks that the president does want to write a bill, but we're legislators, and that it takes time to write stuff. See, this is where JOVITALATE could help Nancy Pelosi. We just don't write things. We just make it up as we go along. That usually works at SBA, so I don't understand why it doesn't work at the Speaker of the House's position. Nancy Pelosi started the week saying that you have a 48-hour deadline, which is ironic because at SBA, we just don't make up deadlines. We just sort of announce things have changed. One day you could be getting a grant. The next day we say, we're not giving out grants anymore. And then the day after, we're like, you know what? Maybe we'll do it for a second or two. Nancy Pelosi has certainly been the collective effort of a lot of people, but what JOVITALATE wants you to understand is that you need to focus on you. And that when this channel came to existence, no one was answering your questions. There was no one that gave you a collective response to explain why this was happening. You felt alone. When JOVITALATE came to existence, there were all these people who applied for EIDL loans on March 30th and March 31st that were ultimately called the Vortex. LALATE explained that those vortexes were people who had all applied on the same day, and for some reason, their applications were lost. They weren't processed, and they were alone. They felt like they were the only person that had this happen to them, until LALATE saw all these ants, saw all these people that were suffering the same problem at the same time. Here at JOVITALATE, we knew what was going on. We were just having a big laugh at everyone on April 1st got a grant loan, but everyone on March 31st, oh no. It was the same thing for April 8th. There was vortexes on April 8th, but April 9th and April 7th, that was totally fine. As you sit here for your stimulus check, it's sort of like the same thing. You're sitting around and wondering, am I the only one thinking that a $1,200 stimulus check for 6 months is ridiculous? Am I the only one thinking that a stimulus check now in October to carry me through the thick of winter and another lockdown is not sufficient? What's important to understand with JOVITALATE is that JOVITALATE empowered a lot of people to understand that they're owed more money, they just need more money, and they will get more money if their voice is heard. As a collective force, what JOVITALATE had people understand is that you can demand more money. Step up and say, hey, I am owed more money. Now, JOVITALATE has seen what this LALATE has done in the last week and talked about a lot of purple power. I like a purple scarf. I don't have enough of them. But JOVITALATE is impressed by what LALATE has done in the last week and saying to people, no, you can accept a check when it ultimately arrives, but you can demand a lot more. Ironically, JOVITALATE looks to Mitch McConnell, of all places, because Mitch McConnell is now saying, you know what, I'm not doing any of these bills and these drafts that Steve and Nancy are doing, because ultimately when it gets to me, I'm going to do my changes as I want to make changes to it. Well, Purple Power apparently is now saying that to his viewers as well, saying, hey, you know what, we're not going to allow you to tell us that a $1,200 check is sufficient for 6 months. So we're going to demand bigger stimulus checks. And the message that LALATE is now sending to its viewers, 6-7 days after announcing hashtag MSC a week ago, is that, we're owed more money. We're valued as people. We're valued as citizens. We're valued as veterans. Veterans who never got a stimulus check the first time around because they're adult dependents, and this time haven't gotten or are offered $500. $500 since this pandemic started. It sounds literally crazy. And with that, Nancy Pelosi says, I want to give you November's rent. I'm sorry, $500 doesn't pay for November's rent. Doesn't even pay for November's electric bill. Doesn't even pay for November's gas bill. What is $500? And so as you sit here tonight, JOVITALATE was never cheap on your money. JOVITA always gave you really good money. Your SBA grants and loans, well, the loans were always, $50,000, $70,000, $80,000, $100,000, $150,000. We kept you at $150,000. We said no more. We're not going to be that generous after that. But we gave you money. Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to give you a penny. Steve Mnuchin doesn't want to give you a penny. Donald Trump hasn't done an executive order. And so ultimately what you should say is, hey, we, as we sit here today, understand that an executive order needs to come and understands that we are waiting for election results to come as well. But ultimately, if election results turn a certain way on election night, and ultimately if we don't get a stimulus check before election night, guess what? We're not going to be silent. We're going to be demanding bigger stimulus. We're going to demand it now. We're going to demand it after the election, before the election, and after the inauguration. Because as American citizens, we're owed money. We serve this country, we pay our taxes, we're owed stimulus. Why are people who are federal employees who make 6 figures a year being paid salary raises and we don't even have a stimulus check and we don't have a job? We're unemployed and you're not giving us FPUC retroactive enough. So we're going to sit here and say, that's fine? No. Now, JOVITALATE always used to move goalposts, so you could never figure out what the Experian credit score is to get your grant or loan approved. But ultimately, it landed somewhere. And ultimately, there was a number. There was always an Experian Vantage Score number that if you knew I got that number, I would get a loan approved. I would be done. There was a way to figure out JOVITALATE. There's no way to figure out Nancy Pelosi. There's no way to figure out Steve Mnuchin because, as we learned today, they haven't been negotiating, they haven't been writing, they haven't been talking, they haven't been sharing, they haven't been doing much of any work, and that all they've been doing is telling you stuff that they weren't doing. Yes. And so ultimately, we're not going to start the weekend negative. No, we're going to be excited because there's a sale on scarves, of course, You didn't see the coupon? Okay, good. I'm glad you didn't see the coupon. I'm not sharing the coupon because, I just don't want you to be buying my scarves. But the truth of the matter is that we're going to be excited for the weekend because ultimately, as this community, we all feel the same way. We're all here to help each other. We're all here to be positive. We're all here to be motivational. And we realize we have value. We're valued as a person. We're valued as a person. There's nothing worse than someone telling you, here's a stimulus check, and it's a watered-down stimulus check for you. Congratulations. What? No, we don't do that here. That's not the purple power. We have every value for every person of every walk of life, whether you're a business owner or small solo practitioner, whether you're on SSDI or SSI, or you're just retired, whether you're a child or an adult, whether you're a student or not, or a retired person. Everyone has value, and that ultimately you're all entitled to stimulus. You didn't cause this pandemic. You were told to be on lockdown. They told you to be on lockdown, and you were on lockdown. And guess what? You might be on another lockdown soon. Ultimately, you're entitled to a stimulus, and that stimulus will be yours. And so what's important as we start the new day, is important as we go into Saturday, is that you're owed stimulus, and that stimulus will be the amount that you demand. It won't be the amount that a bunch of politicians tell you, this is fine, go enjoy it. Because ultimately, we determine their fate. The night after the election night, a lot of people are going to look at the election results and say, oh, okay, interesting. What's really interesting is we can do the same thing to you if you don't give us the proper stimulus. It's important to understand as you start a next day, going into the weekend, is not to be negative, not to be angry, not to be depressed, not to be downtrodden, but to understand this entire community of 300,000, 500,000, 700,000 followers. They're on YouTube, on Twitter, on Instagram, on all these different platforms, following LALATE, interacting with you in LALATE. Now realize that we're valued. We have a value as a person. And as a value as a person, your voice will be heard. Your voice will be heard in whatever manner we make it be heard. With that, I ask you to go to the front of this channel, subscribe because we're going to get through this together. I mean, I might not be sharing my scars with you, but we'll be getting through this together. I mean, I have I have 3 hunts, so, and if you notice, it's a UCLA scar. So USC fans don't, I just lost the USC scarf. It's somewhere in the closet. And I have a black one. I have this is very nice. This is delicious. But no, I'm not sharing my scars with you. So please subscribe, but I'm not sharing scars with you. And also like this video. Coming up tomorrow morning is Early Mornings LALATE at 6:30 a.m. and 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. 2 broadcasts, 2 really exciting days. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and have a great evening. See you Saturday morning. Take care. Bye.